This Wyrd Road is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion advised.
Good evening, everybody. That was my really bad Robin Williams impression, but welcome to This Wyrd Road. That's Boli.
Hi.
And I'm Ulf, I think. Let me check the name tag in my underwear. Yep, still Ulf. And welcome to This Wyrd Road. This week, we are going to be starting the first of a 9-part series. 9's a very important number to us heathens. On the virtues. One virtue a week, because it's easy math for someone like me. And
True story.
This week we're going to be addressing truth.
Truth is the first that we're going with because we have decided that, discussed really, that basically each one leads into the next. We have truth, courage, honor, fidelity, discipline, self-reliance, hospitality, perseverance, and industriousness.
And according to, depending on what heathens you talk to or what different kindreds you interact with, some of those will go by slightly different names, but it all amounts to the same thing.
And in different orders, too.
Yeah, and in different orders, but Boli and I both believe that, like he said, that they kind of interweave, like our beard hair, and work like a ladder into one another.
Not our beard hairs don't together.
Not together, no.
Only when we're smooching.
Right, we don't do that anymore.
Any less.
Fair. But they all tie into one another. When we're talking about one virtue, you are going to hear us mention aspects of the others because there's bleed over. But they are all at the same time all their own very distinct categories too. So you want to start us off, man?
Well, I always want to get in with a current event, and this one plays in well. Right now, we are having a huge debacle, or if, to tie it in with whom I'm talking about, a huge debacle about wiretapping and all this other business. In short, our tiny little Cheeto man is throwing a fit, saying that basically he was illegally investigated during his run-up to the office.
Sorry, that was the sound of our souls throwing up a little bit.
Yeah, and the truth is, he was legally investigated because when you're running for president, the government has the right to check up on you and, make sure you're not doing shady crap. See, look, I didn't say shit.
You did, I'm impressed. And they actually do that for pretty much every presidential candidate. It just doesn't usually become major news.
It's usually not huge because everyone else is aware that it happens.
Well, that and the others aren't whiny little
twats.
I was trying to get around saying the B word I was going to say, but yeah, that'll work.
I said twat, not twat.
No, yeah, I approve. Aren't you proud of us trying not to cuss and then telling you what it is we're not saying?
I don't know what you're talking about. But no, that is a big deal because he has avoided the truth so much.
And that bent the truth so much to his own, or bent the story to fit his own definition of the truth, I should say.
You mean
so much that it's become alternative facts now are a thing. And
yeah.
We joke about that kind of stuff, but what worries me with things like that is if alternative facts becomes an accepted thing outside of being a joke, what the fuck kind of kind of things are we teaching our kids? What are we telling them it's okay to do at that point?
Each of our presidents, at least in our lifespans, has given us terms We got I do not recall from Reagan.
1,000 points of light from Bush Sr.
And it wouldn't be prudent. Also
from Bush
twofer
Sr.
from Bush Sr.
He was an overachiever.
Well, he was a decent guy. I mean, not a great president, but he seemed to be a decent, family kind of oriented guy. I mean, he keeps trying to get his kids into the family business, so that's, But, yeah, we have 1,000 points of light, and it wouldn't be prudent. He doesn't like broccoli. All of those. And then we got, that depends on what your definition of is from Clinton.
Yeah.
I'm the decider from Bush Jr.
Yeah, the decider.
What do we get from... And thanks, Obama, from President Obama. So, we're not even 2 months in, and we've already got alternative facts. So he's an overachiever.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're someone that is that big on the world stage, so many eyes upon you, you're going to be looked up to, and certain things expected of you. So when it's well known that one of your most defining traits
is that you lie
and bend the crap out of the truth. What
like a whore during shore leave?
What does that say about our nation? What kind of picture does that paint? And like I've said, what kind of impression you're telling the kids and the other impressionable people who will who will learn to talk better than me, I hope, who will model their behavior after yours, that lying's okay. Not only is it okay, it's encouraged to just
if you
tap dance all
name.
over the truth. Yeah, especially if you use a clever name. But the fact is, no. I don't understand how we've come to a point in history where that's acceptable.
Well, it isn't. As far as even the general populace is concerned, it's not acceptable, which is why we make fun of it.
Yeah, but and I'm all about making fun of things, as you know. I mean, that's why we're friends.
Right.
But there's a line, and I think by making fun of this particular thing, we're
kind of softening it.
Yeah, we're softening it. We're devaluing it. We're going, oh, it's not that big a deal that he lies about everything. Yes, it is.
Or that he lies on a bed in a Russian hotel and gets peed on by hookers. But whatever. I'm sorry, was that an alternative fact?
Well, I mean, that means he and a couple of well-known entertainers have, something in common. Because what you said almost called them altertainers, which might be a term, I don't know.
Sure. Well, we, have wrestlers that are actor-leets.
Damn right they are. I coined that phrase when I was 12.
Yeah.
Part actor, part athlete.
I was there.
But, so yeah, that's our point with this current event. Right. Tying it into the virtue is that,
truth is vitally important, and this asshat just pisses all over the whole idea.
And while I do understand that the truth can be interpreted somewhat differently through different people, the truth is a bit subjective, there's still a point where truth is truth no matter what, and a lie is not an alternative fact. It is a lie. It is the very opposite of the truth.
Right.
A lie is not an alternative fact. Cheetos are not alternative carrots. These things do not...
Cheetos are not people.
And there goes my point lost. I'm sorry.
I'm good at that. All right, so...
Got to be good at something.
That's not what your mother said. Anyhow, she said that I didn't have to be good at anything. Yeah. No, she said I didn't have to be good at anything. Anyhow, truth. A very wise man once said, when a man lies, he kills part of the world. That'd be Merlin in the best interpretation of the Excalibur Arthurian legend.
78, yeah. Because that's my
favorite. I've got the calendar, the poster. Yeah.
I've got the movie at home. That's my favorite interpretation. We're completely sidetracking again. We do that.
Not exactly. That would be an alternate fact.
Truth of all the virtues to me is the kind of the hardest one to interpret. It's the most...
See, I'd put honor there. Because there's so many different definitions of honor, but there really is only one kind of truth.
See, and again, that just shows our different viewpoints on things. To me, honor is not as hard to define. I mean, truth is truth, but at the same time, like I said, there's the old saying that truth's a matter of perspective, because the way you're going to define what's true and the way I'm going to define what's true are probably going to be a little different. Well, okay, in the case of you and I probably not.
I was going to say, because you and me is an improper way of saying that. That's the truth.
But most people, you ask them, what does the truth mean? Define truth. And you ask 5 people, you're going to get 6 different answers.
True story.
So here we are trying at it, at least.
Well, I think it depends on what you're talking about. If you were talking about an objective thing that can be proven, like, let's say, climate change. That's a thing that's huge right now.
Right out there.
It's huge. Another term we got from this ass. But no, we have climate change. That is an observable fact. It is true.
Especially right now where, I can't speak for folks in other states or other countries, but right now where we live, in the state we live in, the weather has been all screwed up. We have not had winter this year.
It is currently 70 degrees and raining.
And it's a warm rain.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be getting warm spring rain yet. So climate change is not a myth.
We are changing this weekend. So
it's true. But
anyhow, so we got... Oh, this is going to be behind. Anyhow, we're there is observable facts which you cannot go, oh, well, I don't believe that. Well, bitch, you don't get a choice in it. The sun comes up in the east, not the south, no matter which direction you're turning. You know,
there are certain...
And actually, the sun doesn't come up.
Hard, undeniable truths is what you're saying.
Yes. There's undeniable things. And then, but when you get into, say, social things or matters of opinion, then you could say there's wiggle room with the truth. And it's weird that I'm the one standing on the side of, this is what truth is.
Yeah, we've sort of...
Being a Lokian, you know.
Yeah, in our devil's advocate roles, we've kind of flipped today.
Hey, but I feel that, either you did something or you didn't. Something is true or it isn't. There is certainly going to be gray areas, especially in matters of opinion. Or as we spoke earlier about defining a word. We looked up on the FCC's website what words we could and couldn't say, and we've used like 6 of them already.
We really have. What we basically did was
the whole thing's a big jerk off.
We can do to get in the most trouble.
I said that and then stared at him in a funny way.
Because I couldn't find a clever way right then to put any of the other words we're not supposed to say, like cunt, into a conversation right here on the air. So.
True. And that was the truth. He couldn't think of anything. But it's all about defining certain things. And again, back to Bill, President Clinton, depends on what your definition of is in a lot of senses. There's only going to be gray areas when it comes to matters of opinion.
Yeah.
This is good. Well, no, it's not. You just lied to me. Well, it's not my fault you don't like licorice.
Yeah. Well,
I don't like
that
licorice
case, though,
that's the truth.
When it comes to opinions, you can't really lie about an opinion.
You can.
I guess you. Well, yeah,
you could say.
Think about it, I guess you could. You could say if your opinion is one thing when it's another. But.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're trying to say impress somebody or whatever, you find out.
We've never done that.
What?
Never lied to impress a girl or anything.
Yeah, I've never. They're like, yeah, of course I've been downhill skiing before. No, I've rolled down a hill and nearly broken my knees. But yeah, whatever.
I've been ice skating before, by which I mean I slipped on ice when I spilled some water in the winter and it sucked.
He falls down a lot anyway, mainly because he's drunk.
Actually, I probably fall down more when I'm sober. Is the really funny part.
Well,
But again, that's a topic for another show.
It's all those blows It's all those blows you took to the head when you were in Bangkok.
Jesus Christ! Can we move on? There's in jokes here, folks. We'll explain them later. Or will we?
FCC. That's basically where we're at. And basically, I'm trying to get Raven to stab me so I can get some time off work for being stabbed.
Which would be an accomplishment, as Raven's not with us this week. So,
Well, she'll listen to this eventually.
it's true, and she may drive over here to stab you.
All right. So anyhow, we've defined then basically that there are objective facts and subjective facts, and the subjective facts are where the gray area lies.
Right.
I could say that I slept with your sister when in fact there was no sleeping. No.
Yep. Mostly just her punching you in the face, I'm going to guess.
Oh, you like what you like.
As he said earlier, the truth is what it comes down to. And here in a bit, after we take our break in a bit, we'll explain
don't try to
how
get
these...
out of this. We've
No,
got
I'm not.
15 more minutes.
I'm just telling people that that'll be when we start to break down and go, okay, this is how this relates to the virtue and how, I guess you would say, we carry this virtue with
right.
us. I mean, that's a fair way to put it, I think. We carry the virtues or interpret the virtues.
There's an awful lot of dead space there.
Look
at that.
Have you looked inside my noggin? A lot of dead space.
I've seen inside your soul, and it's beautiful. There's rainbows and unicorns.
I got to chase those unicorns out.
I didn't say they were axe-wielding unicorns.
I fumigated in there for those last week.
Axe-wielding unicorns.
But that sounds like a great movie plot. Our jackassery aside, you can't... I'm trying to figure out. See, I know what I want to say and not how I want to say it. And then crap out of me. You can't say something's the truth. No matter how many times you tell yourself something, you can say something 1,000,000 times. It still doesn't make it the truth. There's a saying that is, and I'm paraphrasing here, something about eventually the story. If you tell a story enough times, the story becomes the truth, and the truth becomes the story. I don't believe that. The truth is the truth. No matter, you can convince yourself of a lie. That's not hard. But that doesn't make it true.
No, you know what? Here's the thing. We're still mostly teaching kids that the Pilgrims landing on Plymouth Rock was a good thing for everyone involved, and that the first Thanksgiving was holly and jolly and all this other crap.
We're still not teaching kids about what a true dick Columbus was either, which is a very similar thing.
Right, and so you have people. I mean, there's Columbus Square and all this other crap in New York. Basically these monuments to a slave driving, just ass bag who had genocidal.
Yeah, I was going to
say. His whole point was, hey, I'm going to come here and take your resources and kill you if you get in my way.
I'm going to take your shit and get famous for it.
You used one of the words, twat.
So, but yeah.
We're not doing good at being subversive with that, are we?
We are not. But I believe the point you were getting out there, Boli, was that lies basically about these figures are still being told
as truth,
even though we have found, hard facts to support what kind of people they actually were.
Right.
And they weren't these shiny, happy figures we painted them as in history books.
I'd like to paint him with his own blood. But I'm sure it's all dried up by now.
One would think, yes.
I could reconstitute it. And see, that is an example of a lie. We can't reconstitute his blood. It's gone now. But the fact is, we tell these stories to people, and they are flat out lies. He was murderous. Like I said, slave driving, just in general a douchebag. And in schools, they're still pretty much teaching that he discovered America, which, if by discovered you mean showed up here 300 years after Viking explorers, then sure, he discovered the hell out of it.
And not to mention the fact that, it was always said proudly, like, he discovered it, like it's what he set out to do. And it wasn't. No. He got here by accident because he got lost.
Right.
He thought we were India.
Well, I don't think that was actually
Which is why the Native Americans got coined as Indians.
I believe the term now is First Americans. But anyway, that might have also been a lie. I'm not sure. No, the thing is no one thought that the world was flat at that point. Not even uneducated people thought the world was flat.
Yeah, that's
It
the
was
point in
established
history
that the
where it
world
had been
was
established.
and that's another lie that is still being taught. Is that people back then, the average person thought the world was flat, and he was out to prove that it wasn't. And it's like, no, he was looking for a shorter trade route than going around Africa.
Yeah.
It was all about money, 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 money.
Yeah, he was trying to be a better merchant
Money.
and find ways to shortcut the other merchants so he can make more money.
And oh crap, I could really go on about this ass all day, but I choose not to.
Yeah,
Because it's just infuriating.
The fact that history is taught incorrectly infuriates me as well.
Yeah.
When we know what these things are and choose to ignore them to teach our kids. But the point being is
the reason the natives weren't more suspicious of him to begin with was because they had dealings with other whites beforehand,
meaning the Norsemen
Yeah.
at that point. But the point being that we keep diverging from, because we're good at that, is
true story.
Is these are huge lies about him and other historical figures too, being perpetrated as truths. You know, teaching them to our kids doesn't make them the truth. It just makes it harder for those people when they become older to detangle the lies and learn the actual truth behind the history they were taught in school. I mean, you know, when I got out of school so many moons ago, back when, you know, Jeebus was a baby, I thought I had a good grasp on history. And then...
Man, were you wrong.
Yeah.
You're still wrong most of the time.
Through various sources, including when the interwebs got invented, I did research and reading and had things pointed out to me by friends and stuff, and realized that most of the history I thought I knew was either a little off or completely wrong.
George Washington Carver did not invent peanuts. He has like peanut butter. He has like 400 patents on things involving peanuts, and not one of them was a delicious spread to put on bread and nom with jelly. But we get told that. Huh?
Just pour it out in the jar.
Yeah. Well, you know, whatever, smeared on.
Yeah, we get...
whatever.
That's right. We did used to get taught, and I don't know if they're still teaching it, but yeah, we did used to get taught that he invented peanut butter.
Right.
Because everything else was peanuts practically. But that was, I don't know who, but I do know that was someone else.
Yeah. So it was, truth is intrinsic to basically everything. Because if people do not have correct information, they will make even, how do I want to put this? Even well-intentioned people will make incorrect decisions if their information is false to begin with.
Well, yeah, if you have bad facts as a basis, the thing you're doing that grows out of that base is going to be faulty.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like for years, some of the stuff that we're griping about now, there was a time where that's what people thought was this X thing. But when you find out different and you know there's something else is the truth, why keep perpetrating the original thing when you now know it to be a lie?
Right. And as was just pointed out to me, it's important to heathens because you have to be true with you have to know the truth about yourself.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Not just truth to others, but yeah, you have to know the truth of yourself.
Like you can't know what honor means to you if you don't know yourself.
Yeah.
Like you can't behave honorably if you lie to yourself about what being honorable is.
Right. That's a good point.
Most people have this like Arthurian sort of mentality of what honor is, of like chivalry and all that other business. The chivalrous code, by the way, look it up. We always tell you to read things. Look up the chivalrous code.
Because that's a heathen thing. We're going to tell you to read.
Which is funny, considering most of our tradition was oral. But the chivalrous code was mainly about how to manage lands and how to deal with peasants. Very little of it has to do with, putting your jacket down for chicks trying to cross puddles.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like
totally
that
different
is
stories.
in there, but
it's alternative fact.
It's not the core of it. Like it was
right.
Like
it's like
proposed to be when we were
It's like 100-point system, and like 2 or 3 of those points are how to behave with women. So there's just another lie. But again, leading into that is if we think that that's what honor is, and we lie to ourselves about it, then we're going to be behaving improperly.
Yeah, if your version of the truth or vision of the truth, I guess, about yourself, again, is flawed.
Right. Well, I mean, it's going to be flawed.
Then everything else is right. We're humans. We are flawed creatures, but
I'm mutant blooded. Don't let him lie to you.
He is. It's true. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. Read a book. There we are again.
Read a book. Read a book. Read a Mary Frances book.
That's clever dodge.
Thank you.
But
so, we just got way off track there. Hey,
I think that's part of why people listen to the show is to see what kind of crap we will get off track.
We should ask both of them why they listen to the show.
We have 2 listeners now? It's gone up.
I listen occasionally. I'm usually bored.
Am I supposed to? Oops. What?
I assumed you were the other listener. Anyhow, if you don't have solid information to begin with, if you're not open and honest with yourself,
it's like building a house on quicksand or in the swamp. To be more like building a house.
To be more American.
American, yeah.
Not a lot of quicksand in America.
Like building a house in a swamp, which people have done. Not a solid foundation. It's eventually going to sink. Well, even the ones on stilts.
Well, I mean,
don't
it's
usually
still important.
Stick around. But yeah, it is.
Well, they don't stick around because there's alligators in swamps, and who the hell wants to live with alligators? Shut up. Okay. All right, so
Steve Irwin.
He would like to live with anything right now, I would assume.
Oh, fair point.
Except maybe stingrays.
And on that horrible segue,
I don't know what you're talking about.
That was segue.
Batoma.
On that horrible note, we're going to take a break.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No, I'm going to keep talking. I don't care what you say.
Well, it's not the first time you keep talking to yourself. But we're going to give you folks a slight break from us. Throw some music at your faces.
Maybe.
And
if you're lucky.
We'll be back in a little bit to get more on the side of it where related specifically to the virtues. And
well, that's kind of where I was saying, you know.
Yeah. You were starting the interlace of that.
Right.
And we will continue that after the break.
After the beak break?
Break.
Who's breaking beaks? I don't want to be involved in that. What would the bird ever do to you? Good night, folks.
You've been listening to This Wyrd Road with Ulf and Boli. I'm Boli Thorne. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions or comments, please contact us at the PTRN call-in line at 502-276-5665. Thank you. We hope you enjoy the show.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden moves. You don't know the half of the abuse. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden moves. You don't know the half of the abuse. Welcome to the room of people who have rooms of people that they loved one day docked away. Just because we check the guns at the door doesn't mean our brains will change from hand grenades. You love another psychopath sitting next to you. You love another murderer sitting next to you. You think I'd get here sitting next to you. But after all I've said, please don't forget. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden moves. You don't know the half of the abuse. We outside is very well. They say newcomers have a certain smell. Yeah, trust issues not to mention. They say they can smell your intentions. You laughing on the freak show sitting next to you. You have some weird people sitting next to you. You think how did I get here sitting next to you? But after all I've said, please don't forget. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden moves. You don't know the half of the abuse. All my friends are heathens, wait for them to ask you who you know. Please, all my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Why'd you come? You knew you should have stayed. I tried to warn you just to stay away. And now they're outside ready to buzz. It looks like you might be one of us.
Portions of tonight's show were recorded earlier because we were ashamed to do it now.
Like, did you know that Harold the Bluetooth was called that because he loved blueberries to the point where his teeth were all stained blue?
Well, while that sounds like a delicious way to get a nickname,
Ass, it was more
the,
like.
the Vikings were also very much into body modifications. They did tattoos and things like that. It's very well documented. And
You're well
I
documented.
have heard a story that he basically dyed one or more of his teeth blue. For what reason, I cannot say. Maybe just to stand out a little.
Blueberries are better.
But, well, one would like to think it's blueberries for certain reasons, but that's one of those historical things that
We don't know
people
the
with oral
truth
tradition,
about.
we don't know what the truth is and may never.
So anyhow, welcome back. I decided that was a good place to come back in because we were talking about something that may or may not be true.
And, it's historical, so it makes us sound a little smarter than we actually are.
True story.
Because on this show, we concentrate a little more on the hysterical than the historical some days.
Right. So,
But, to refresh, this show is the first in our 9-part series on the virtues, and the virtue we're focusing on is, as Boli alluded to there, truth.
yep. We started with truth again because, like we said, they each bleed into the other.
And we felt that the best way to start the weaving, so to speak, of the
Yeah.
virtues was to start with truth because it is the one that definitely connects down into all of the others.
Right. And without that foundation, the rest of it is...
It's a little wobbly.
Yeah. So
if you're not willing to tell the truth, then you obviously don't have honor. You're not going to be very hospitable
or courageous or
or
any
courageous.
of these things.
I can't think in my head right at the moment how it would relate directly, quickly to self-industriousness, but I know it does.
But I mean,
I know it does.
each one leads to the next.
Yeah.
So truth may not be directly involved with perseverance.
Right.
Matter of fact, you may have to lie a lot to persevere in a bad situation, like say you're in prison.
Yeah.
We hope nothing against our prison listener. No.
And we hope you're innocent of whatever got you there,
There's going to be need for flexibility on all of this. Hospitality, if someone's abusing your hospitality, then you may need to be like, get your stuff and get out.
Yeah, I mean, hospitality doesn't mean, while you have to put up with some things for hospitality,
Like
there's
people
a limit,
chewing with their mouth open.
Yeah, things
or
like that.
People
Or-
using the word moist.
Or even granting hospitality to an enemy.
Right.
There's still points at which you can be like, no, you have now taken advantage of my hospitality.
I want to say
I'm
that's
no longer beholden to it. Get out.
Culcaholen, I think, was honor bound to accept hospitality, and it ended up killing him.
Yes,
because
his other honor bound thing was he couldn't eat the meat of a dog, and someone tricked him into doing that very thing.
that was poisoned. Yeah. So anyhow,
Was it poison?
yeah,
And
that was how it
version
got
of
around.
was.
It eating the meat of the dog is what lost him his powers, and then the
And
poison,
then the poison
killed him. Because
kicked
poison
in,
wouldn't have killed Culcaholen
Yeah, 'cause
before that.
Cuchulainn was
Cuchulainn?
almighty. Yeah, it's one of those. No offense to those of Gaelic descent, but the Gaelic language could have 20 consonants and be pronounced fifi. So
Le
pronouncing-
Fifi.
Le fifi. So pronouncing some of the Gaelic names is a trick.
That, by the way, was an example of an alternative fact. Ting. TM. So, I mean, you're certainly going to have. There's going to be instances where you have to bend these.
Where the interpretation of certain of the virtues is going to have to, as you say, have to be a little flexible.
Right.
But we're not saying that you should.
It shouldn't be for self-gain, but self-perseverance,
is a different thing.
self-preservation, even. Self-preservation is absolutely an instance where, say, hey, did you eat my cookies? Because if you did, I'm going to kill you. And you brush some crumbs out of your beard, and you're like, no, I didn't do that. What are you talking about? You would live longer.
You'd be a jackass, but you'd be a slightly longer lived jackass.
Yeah, but you can make up for that jackassery.
You'd have to make up not only for the lying though, but also for the cookie thieving.
What if you didn't know they were...
Guild.
Yeah.
You could pay a Wyrd Guild and...
Or you could just continue to be a good person and not eat people's cookies.
But
I'm a big fan
back
of
in the day, it would have been Wyrd Guild. Well, cookies are always good. Especially, those of the Girl Scout variety, and it's that time of year around here. So
I'm also a huge fan of lasagna.
Right on. Might not be a Norse dish, but I love me some lasagna.
That's pretty northern. Anyhow, I'm being filthy, and he doesn't seem to understand.
I'm ignoring him because it frustrates him. And that's kind of what she said.
Oh.
So, truth, while important, it could be argued from 100 different ways, or at least 9, which virtue is the most important.
Bad pun. No cookies.
I'm trying to make a point, and he's sneaking it away from me.
Go for it.
The cookies are for later.
You get no cookies.
It could be argued which of the virtues is the most important. We didn't start with truth because we thought it was the most important. It just made the most sense for a starting point and a basis. Because as Boli pointed out earlier, if you can't be true to yourself as well as to others, then you don't know where you're going to base your honor. And if you have no basis for honor, everything else all of the other virtues, that loses. Like, truth is the basis for honor. Honor is the basis for self-reliance and courage and so on like that.
Didn't we already discuss what order we were doing these in?
I wasn't saying them in the order. I don't have the paper in front of me, and we all know I have the memory of a goldfish.
Huh?
What?
What are you doing here? Why are you in my home?
Wait, let me check my notes. Oh, hey, it's that time.
Alrighty then. That was funny.
My technological device is agreeing with me. That's awesome.
Anyhow, we were going to get on the ambiguity of truth.
We were, which is I'm trying to figure out how to approach that.
From behind, usually.
Hey-o!
We're
a little filthy here, folks, if you haven't figured that out.
There are certainly going to be reasons to be less than truthful.
And I think this is where we get on a little bit opposite sides of the point again.
Yeah.
While I don't entirely disagree with that, there shouldn't be many reasons to be ambiguous with the truth. Don't set out to go, don't, how can I put this? Don't wake up in the morning thinking, I'll lie where I have to today, and it's no big deal because it'll help me survive. not a real good way to live your life. But I do understand that there are times, like for example, for the safety of your family or something, you may have to tell a lie to preserve someone, and that's different.
We talked last time about one of our favorite stories involves a huge lie. Well, gee, Freya's eyes are awfully red. Well, she hasn't slept in moons since discovering you were going to marry.
The Lay of Thrym, when Loki lies on Thor's behalf multiple times to a giant king.
Well, it's better than laying on his... Never mind.
No, I'm sure it was better than that.
So, there's certainly going to be points where even the hero, Loki's the hero, is lying.
Well, I mean, and even Thor, who's also always known as a hero and is a hero, one of the heroes of that story, effectively by letting Loki tell those things and by coming in dressed like Freya, he's lying too. So he is one huge lie through the whole story, basically.
I wouldn't tell
until he lifts his veil and cracks the giant with his hammer.
That's better than lifting his dress. And
that's a much funnier visual.
I swear, I always
that would have been the great reveal. Guess what? Not Freya lifts up the skirt.
Flaming! I don't know why Thrym is...
apparently, yeah.
Jerry Lewis.
Yeah. Hi! The giant professor all of a sudden, huh? We're making old people references that probably a lot of our listeners don't.
A lot of our listeners.
That's what I said.
All one of you in prison because the last one left.
Possibly in the Phantom Zone, we don't know.
Maybe in the cockle area. Maybe in the subcockles. Maybe in the liver.
Maybe even
in the colon. Yeah, so anyway. But that's an instance where the lie drove the story and protected the heroes.
Yeah, it was an instance where, yes, they weren't telling the truth, or shall I say, no, they weren't telling the truth, but they also at the same time weren't damaging their honor.
Well,
because they weren't. Because
I still like to imagine that the whole fight happened with Thor still in the dress.
Oh, absolutely.
And even though Loki could have changed at any time, still just kept the dress on.
He was comfortable.
Yeah.
But
so I just imagine Thor going off into his rage, everyone piling onto him to fight, and Loki just sitting in Thrym's throne, just like...
I picture him kind of kick back with a smoke.
Letting it all happen.
If
someone comes towards him...
Look, Thor's fighting a dozen guys. Yeah, I've seen this before. Never in a dress, but the dress is a bit of a surprise.
So you have that instance. You've also got Odin taking on the guise of Bolverk to retrieve the meat of poetry from a different giant.
And this is when you get into with
Gerdur's father?
With the stories like that and the point we're making of basically that these people were lying to get things, you get into the questions where, and in a lot of spiritualities, the stories of their deities, are there for a reason, and you accept them, and that's it. You don't question them. But whereas the stories of our people and of our gods, we can sit there and go, okay, this happened, and like the story you were telling of Odin, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, he went off and he lied about who he was to get here and get this thing. So
and murdered a bunch of people.
In so doing, did he violate his honor or did he uphold his honor? And you can look at it from different ways to try and figure out your opinion of it.
Well, I think, and this comes down to one of those autocratic things where if Odin does it, it's right.
Because he's the All-Father.
Right, and not the Son-Father.
There's that too.
But it comes down to if he does it, it's okay for him to do it. But if I were to go and pretend to be a human, murder a bunch of people, and steal something by sleeping with someone's daughter,
there's jail time in that.
Yeah, lots of it probably. But then I'd get to meet our listener.
Right, yeah, you got a point.
Woohoo! Dap.
But also, too, now, I know by the spin we've just put on it there, you could think, okay, you could look at that and go, wow, that's not a very honorable God. But the thing is, our gods, and this is one of the reasons I like them and like our stories, our gods have a very we've said this before, have
Human
very human
aspect?
qualities.
Yeah.
And they screwed up. They didn't always do what was right. You know, they got caught up in the heat of the moment, got caught up in rage, in lust, made mistakes. But most of the time, at least, when they made those mistakes, they tried to rectify the ones they could. And I think this is where I think from those stories is where the concept of werewolf in our culture originally came from. Or maybe the fact that werewolf was in the culture gave birth to these stories, depending on how you want to look at it.
Lizard egg.
Yeah, which came first, the lizard or the egg? We don't, we're giving chickens a break and it's lizards today.
Well, no, the reptiles developed eggs like millennia before chickens were even a thing.
Yeah.
So clearly the egg came first.
Before the scales became the feathers and,
So on and so forth.
Right.
But there were egg-laying critters long before there were chickens. So, therefore, eggs are first. I win. You're all dumb.
But I think...
Except for you, listener. You're awesome.
But the point, I think, that we were trying to make there is the truth isn't subjective and isn't something that should be thrown away when it doesn't serve you.
Right.
You should still try to tell the truth, even if it's going to get you in trouble. But there are those rare times, like I said, the one that pops in my head the most is
Survival.
to protect your family.
Yeah.
To protect your kith and kin. You lie,
Like them going, no, there's not a little Jewish girl in our attic. What are you talking about? Are you
Yeah,
crazy?
Exactly.
That's crazy talk, Nazis.
Right.
I don't know why everyone's a carnival barker, but...
Yeah.
Listen here, friend.
All of your personalities are 1920s carnival barkers today.
Listen here, friend. There are no Jewish girls in our attic.
There are times when, ironically enough, lying preserves your honor more than telling the truth. But
those are real few and far between.
Few and far between. Well, I'm talking about instances like you said, like at some point in this country, if we have to go, no, there isn't somebody hiding in my house that you want to put into a concentration camp. Please go away.
I have huge hands.
Huge.
But
it's gonna be a huge issue.
Yeah, I mean, I've told recently a bisexual friend, I'm like, I'd go all William Wallace if we end up in a McCarthy-like state where, gays and bisexuals and whatnot are rounded up for happy camps.
Yeah, conversion camps.
If I was questioned, I'd be all Mel Gibson screaming freedom as they pulled me apart, but I'd never give up their names.
Right.
So I would be lying by saying I don't know who they are. See how I pulled this back to the topic?
Yeah,
I'd be lying by saying I don't know who they are, but I would be true to myself and true to my oath.
So therein still upholding the virtue of truth, even while telling a lie, which I know is tricky, but there you go. That proves that they're not supposed to be simple.
And our secondary engineer brings up a point of Loki making the other deities face the truths about themselves by taking the golden apples.
The apples of Aduna.
And making them face their mortality, basically. I found it, one of my favorite points of that story is that Loki, already knowing the truth, didn't age and start falling apart. And they didn't either until they saw that there were no more apples.
Yeah.
They were all peaches and cream until, or I guess...
It's kind of like when you cut yourself and you don't know you've done it because it was a quick small cut or something. And you know you've done it. And then you see blood and look down and realize, and then you go, ow! It's sort of the same thing there in that particular case.
Right.
It didn't affect them until they acknowledged it.
Yeah. So that's an interesting take there. Where
there's actually a counterpoint to that tale in a way, to that part of it, in the Christian mythos.
Yeah.
The story of Adam and Eve. They weren't ashamed of being naked until they knew what being naked was.
Who should be? I mean, seriously, naked's fun.
I
love
naked. Have you ever
nakedness.
seen me naked? It's not pretty.
Yes. And no, it's
and
not.
that's why you lost the sight in that eye, remember?
Hey, I was trying to get a peek at the lady, and his big butt was in the way.
Yep. But
hence only one eye going blind.
It's better now, though. He had 3.
Yeah, well, who doesn't? Weirdos. So anyhow, that is an instance where truth of the self
is more important than truth of words.
Right.
I think really that's what, for me,
Yeah.
To me, the truth is very important, and I absolutely abhor lying. But I will, I've done it in my life. I'm not innocent of it.
Everyone does.
But I try my best not to, and I really hate being lied to, especially if you're lying to me about something small and stupid. But what the virtue comes down to for me really is truth of self over truth of words.
Right.
Well, like you said in that one point in the story, not being true in words, but being very true to yourself. Or
right.
In the instance we give the for instances of protecting our friends and family, I'll lie about everything to protect them because I'm still being true to them and true to myself.
Right.
And that's what matters. And I have no shame about lying to those I consider honorless anyway. And that's a different thing too.
It is.
We could get into that whole subtopic there, and probably do another show on, the fact that lying to a nithing, which is our word for an honorless person, it literally means somebody lower than dirt, a nothing. Lying to a nithing does not violate the virtues, does not violate your honor.
See, I disagree though.
Okay, this is interesting because I didn't know this. Okay.
Well, I disagree because really, the less a person means, the absolutely, you should absolutely be utterly truthful with them because their opinion doesn't matter. So what harm is there? Matter of fact, what benefit could there be to not telling them the truth?
As I think about it, knowing you as well as I do, Boli, that actually doesn't surprise me.
I mean,
because that's the most contrary. That would be the most contrary action.
Right. But I mean, lying.
And the most antagonistic to the person in question.
Right.
Of course, that would be your favorite tactic.
Shut up. No, it's like, if they are irrelevant, then what does it matter what you tell them? And if telling them the truth doesn't matter to them, it should matter to you as the, quote, better person.
Yeah, you should. I see your point. The point that you should set the example by still telling the truth. I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way to lie to somebody that's a nithing, but if I had to, for some reason, it would bother me a lot less with somebody that I considered a nithing. And that's not a word I throw around easy to people. There are very few people in this world.
Mainly because it's hard to pronounce.
There is that. But there are very few people I consider in this world to be so honorless as to be that.
Right.
But they exist.
True. We know one. There's a person that you and I both know that you're still friends with that I consider to be like that.
And I know of whom you speak.
And even, I had a conversation this weekend with the Goblin in which he brought him up and brought up one of the only notable good things about the Bog of Eternal Hick.
Which was
that no matter what has happened, he has always maintained some contact with his kids and has always tried to provide for them.
That much I will give him.
Even if it's bare minimum, he still tried. Only with his kids, but that's more than a lot of people do.
I was going to say, where kids are concerned, that's more in our society than a lot of fathers have done.
Mothers, too.
Yeah.
There are some real asshat moms out there.
We've known some people whose families have stayed, quote-unquote, technically together, whose parents have paid them less attention than the person we're referencing.
Right.
So...
But it came up because of that adorable baby I got to watch this.
Right.
It was,
Well, of course it's adorable. Bebe. Bebes are meant to be adorable. Up to a certain point, they're all adorable.
That way we don't eat them.
Or flush them out of frustration.
Well, toilets didn't exist back in the day.
Well, yeah.
So anyway.
It's a technological upgrade in the sadness, but...
And that's the truth.
See what he's doing there?
There are certainly times where lying is not only acceptable, it's advisable. But 99% of the time, I will tell you the truth simply because I always want you to believe what I'm saying. And if you think that I've lied to you in the past,
you're going to doubt anything.
You're going to doubt anything.
And also, as we discussed pretty much at the top of this, a lot of the virtues tie in. So while talking about one virtue, you're going to hear us mention others. We've mentioned honor repeatedly tonight when talking about truth. And hospitality, again, I'm going to go back to that one with truth because part of hospitality. If someone is a guest in your home or you're a guest in theirs, you're to try your best not to lie to them.
Right. And that goes both ways.
Yeah,
If
well,
you're
that's why I said, or you're a guest in theirs.
If you're in my home and I say, hey, dude, do you have lice or do you have bed bugs or whatever, I'm not going to turn you away if the answer is yes.
We're just going to accommodate you different.
I'm going to get you help for that first. And that seems like a really extreme thing, but in our neighborhood, that's actually, well, not in our neighborhood.
Bed bugs are a plague. I know someone, who recently in my life, good friend, had to battle with bed bugs, and it took them about 6 months to get everything rid of. They nearly lost an entire room of their house. They thought they were going to have to close off. One of their children lost most of his possessions as far as clothes and recreational things.
Right.
I mean, people think, oh, bed bugs, no big deal. That is the wrong answer.
Right, that is very much an answer. But the thing is like if you're coming into my home, if you're someone that I trust enough to be in my home, you should trust me with that information and let me help you if it's a thing I can help you with.
Yeah, because as he said, you won't get turned away if the person is a good person, as I happen to think most people are, and is a person of honor who's upholding hospitality. What they will do, as I think you kind of pointed out, was. And they won't go, oh, you have bed bugs or you have lice. Let's use lice as the example here.
Yeah.
Okay, you have lice, I'll turn you away. No, all right, you have lice. Well, all right, let's do this to shampoo your hair. We're going to bed you over here instead of where we were going to bed you because, yes, I want to try to keep lice out of the bed that's going to stay in my home. But
right.
I'm still going to make sure you're as comfortable as I can make you in the situation that puts you in.
Right. And the reason that there's lots of reasons I wouldn't turn someone away. But one of the main things is if I turn you away from that, you're then going to start lying to me about hazardous things in the future.
Yeah.
So if you tell me up front about something bad, even if it's detrimental to me, I'm going to respect you more in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, sure, there's a bit of people are ashamed of things like that, and I get it. It's hard to admit. It would be hard to admit, oh, I have lice and I'm in your home, or I have bed bugs and may have carried them here. But I'd rather you get past that embarrassment and admit that to me because I'm the type of person who's going to go, okay, not your fault, because those things usually aren't. You pick them up from wherever.
Hookers, usually. Anyhow.
I suppose. But, then I'm going to go, okay, you got that thing. I know that was hard to admit. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the shampoo or help you shave your head and get you a bedding.
Right.
Not go, screw you, get out of my house. Because not only does that,
that affects
if you want to be a person who takes the letter of the law, not only does it violate the several of the 9, it twists your own weird, and also you're just a plain dick.
Yeah, true.
Speaking
of dicks, you can reach us. A lot. Yeah. Well, your mom's is fantastic. Speaking of dicks, you can reach this two at ThisWyrdRoad on Facebook
or
ThisWyrdRoad at gmail.com.
I wanted to try to jump in for once.
Oh, okay. You can also reach us at the PTRN caller line, which is 502-276-5665. Just call and leave us a message. Talk about anything you want. We'll listen. Yeah, we may not talk about
offer opinions on this show, on one of our past shows. Offer ideas for a future show.
Hey, buddy, you guys suck. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, at least that's an opinion.
It's a wrong opinion.
Well, that goes back to tomato, and shades of gray and how opinions aren't exactly wrong.
Nope, that's one of those opinions that's wrong.
But please call in. We'd love to hear from our listeners. We have yet to. And whoever finally does do that for us, I'm going to totally give them praise on air for being our first call-in listener.
Our first friend.
And bonus points to them if they're dork enough to go, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Or long-time caller, first-time listener. Both are acceptable.
Now that we've got that crazy real-world stuff out of the way.
We also have our moot coming up this week, March. Crap, this is going to air way after that. Never mind. Ignore the fact that I just said that.
And we don't have the one for April scheduled yet because we don't do that until after March. So I will say, keep an ear here to our show as well as the Tree of Life Hour to find out when the April the April pub moot will be. We do them once a month.
Mainly our show, though, because the Tree of Life is full of bunny huggers.
Yeah, but they're bunny huggers we like.
No, I'm a fan of bunnies.
Anyway,
And cookies.
And
bunnies cookies.
The Louisville Pub Moot is once a month. It's always on a Friday. It's not always on the first or second or whatever. It's whatever Friday works best for everyone's schedules that we can line up. But
Mainly Ravens.
So Friday of every month. Well, she has the wackiest work schedule.
You have a wacky.
It's a Friday in every month, and it's at Hibachi Sushi Buffet on Preston. I can't give you the direct address.
It is not on Preston, you butt. It's on Bardstown Road.
That's what I meant. That's what I said.
It is 5316 Bardstown Road, Louisville, Kentucky. And then there's a zip code. I'm not sure what it is. But I promise there is one.
If you live in the area or you're, passing through, like another one of our Heathen buddies will be later today.
Yep, should be here soon.
Come on in and join us. Sit down, have a chat, tell us what's on your mind. And we're not exactly a kindred.
Right.
We're just a bunch of heathens who practice and know each other. Some of us, who started the pub knew each other.
Some
for
of
years.
us biblically.
Indeed. And then there were others who heard about it through the Facebook and things like this.
The Facebook.
And it's grown. So come on out and help me grow some more. Come on out and join us. We talk about
everything.
We talk about heatheny things, and as one
Not
particular friend, heathen adjacent friend who often attends, will say, we also talk a whole lot about shit that has nothing to do with heathen.
Oh, you
and
said shit.
And I think it annoys them, but they love us anyway. So come on out, join us, have a good time, and see what... And as I always point out to people, though, even in doing that, we're doing something heatheny.
Community.
Because
important.
It's community and...
We're wrapping up because someone's long-winded.
I am, by the way.
Good night and good luck. May the force be with you. Assalamu alaikum.
Be well out there, everybody. Do your best to keep your weird clean, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Later. Good night, folks.